Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Digital Service Squad webinar brought to you by your local Digital Service Squad and the Digital Main Street program. We're really excited to be here today and deliver this Google Analytics 4 webinar. As a reminder, this program here in South Georgian Bay is managed by the Small Business Enterprise Center, the South Georgian Bay Small Business Enterprise Center, and in Grey County, we're managed by the Business Enterprise Center of Grey County, and the program, the Digital Main Street program, is funded in part by the Ontario government. OBIA and Tabia are all managing partners of that, or sponsoring partners, whatever they want to define themselves as. It's an amazing program, and we recommend, if you have questions during the webinar, you can drop those in the Q&A section. And that reminds me, I'm going to kick things off with a poll just regarding your Google Analytics usage. So we're just kind of curious, we want to get a lay of the land as to how you are currently using Google Analytics for your business. Are you, or are you not? So far, most of you are, which is good. 87% of you are using Google Analytics, 13% are not yet, perhaps, and 33% have already set up your GA4 property, and 67% have not. So that makes sense. And that's why a big reason why we're here, to help you move in that direction. And for those of you who have already set it up, there's perhaps some other things to think about in that setup, but then also we're going to be touching on how to get started with your GA4 property. So first question right up top, I think Amy, you'll probably answer this in your intro. So I'll hand it over to you and get us started, and please take it away.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. This is great, getting into the whole GA4 world of analytics. So let's go to the next slide. What is the first question? What is the question, Ben?
Oh, it is, what is a GA4 property?
Perfect.
There you go.
So this is just an overview of basically what we're going to be talking about today. I wanted to do the meeting today in the webinar today in two different ways, which is going to be, I'm going to go through some slides. I'm going to basically talk about all the different aspects of GA4. And then at the end, after I'm done that, I'm going to switch over to a live demo site for the GA4, so you can actually see it, and we'll walk through it. And as Ben has already said, ask lots of questions. We're here to help. Also, maybe we can put it up in the chat to the direct link to book an appointment with us. So if you do want to do that, and we can talk about Google Analytics for your business, that would be great. So basically today we're going to talk about what it is, why you need it, Google Analytics, the UA Universal Analytics, now transferring over to GA4, how to set it up, and then we're going to take a look at it. As I mentioned, we're going to switch it over to a demo account. So obviously, Google Analytics, the whole reason why we have it is because it tracks what's going on in your website, what's going on with your Google ads, if you have any set up, just help you get a better understanding of what's happening on your website. And now with the GA4, it's including your app as well. So you're going to be able to, if you have an app, you're going to be able to get information analytics from that as well. So yeah, it basically gives you a better understanding of what's going on and what people are actually doing. How are they getting to your site, and what are they doing when they get on your website? So as I mentioned already, these are the two differences between the two. So Universal Analytics, or UA, is what has been used and is being replaced by GA4. So it's website only. There's no custom reports. And then the events happen in sessions. So you're not going to, it's not as detailed as GA4 is now. It's also not, is something that they've also mentioned, is it's a lot more helps with privacy, and is more make sure that people, have that, people who are coming to your website, they have that more privacy protection. So GA4 is, obviously I've already mentioned, is website and app. And then they have customized reports, which is really exciting and complicated, but we'll get through that. And then it's individual events, which is the page views, clicks, and video views. So it's more detailed and not so general, which we'll get into, and we'll be able to take a look at that.
So to answer the question though, like to be like more specific, I guess, when essentially a property is just like your website. So you create an account in Google Analytics, and then you set up a property that is attached to a website or an app in some cases. And that's where you're going to store all that data, or like that property will sort of house that data, and is your sort of first step to getting started, setting up that property. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And here's how you do that.
Okay, so yeah, and again, I'm going to go into this again when we go live on the demo site, so we can go over this again. So you're going to go into your admin settings, which is down at the bottom. And then you go into, it should be right under property. Make sure you've chosen the correct property in case you do have multiple ones. So make sure you choose the one that you want to set up, which will show. And then what you're going to do is it's going to say right underneath there, if you can see it on the highlighted slide, it says GA4 Setup Assistant. And it's going to basically take you through. It is very simple, but as I mentioned before, if you want us to take a look and book in a consult with us, we can go through that with you to have that set up. So it's set out, but it's pretty simple. They walk you through it step by step. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add to that, Ben?
Yeah, I think one important thing to note is that it's less technical if you already have Google Analytics installed. If you're starting from scratch and you're just getting set up, you will have to do a bit more of a technical install in terms of the code and stuff. But yeah, if it's already installed, it's pretty straightforward and simple. And we just got a note from Friday from Google. I think anyone who has a Google Analytics account might have seen this, that they are going to be retroactively, or not retroactively, like they're going to be actively upgrading those accounts starting in March. So if you haven't done it, if you're kind of falling behind on that, they will upgrade you automatically starting in March. So you might see that come up in your account, and it will essentially happen for you. But I always say, the sooner you get it done, the better, because there's going to be more historic data in that account, and there's a few things to customize about that process too.
So a couple other things I didn't mention also is that Google GA4 is happening July 1st, 2023. So this year. So that's why it's kind of that's why we're talking about, let's get it set up, because after that, and if you do have Universal Analytics right now, it'll be nice to set up GA4 just so you can kind of get used to the differences between the two, so you can compare. But I believe, well, as Ben already said, as of March, they're gonna make GA4, and there will be no more Universal Analytics if you're setting it up currently. The other thing you want to think about is with the different websites. I was kind of looking into this yesterday a little bit more. We have some of them are this easy to link. Some of them you can, like Shopify. I believe we used a Google Tag Manager, which we're not going to discuss in this meeting, but some of them have plugins already, which I believe is Squarespace and WordPress. I believe already have plugins, so you can link these to your website. So, but again, if you have any questions about that, you can set up a consult and we can help you with that.
Just one other question here. Someone's asking, Andrew is asking, will the GA4 import your old data, or is it only from the new tracking? And yeah, no, unfortunately, it will not pull in your old data. So that's why, the sooner you get on it and get your GA4 property set up, the
Mhm.
better you will be. I believe you will have access to historic data in your UA property, your Universal Analytics property, but again, it's going to stop working as of July. So you're going to be going back and forth if you want to compare anything before 2023. So yeah, just the sooner the better.
Yeah, exactly. So basically this is going to be, we're going to go through what it's going to look like, but again, you'll see this more on the demo account and be easier but I'll just walk you through it all. So so obviously the GA4, you have a homepage, just like your Universal Analytics. This gives you basically 7 days of information, what's going on right now. And the GA4 also gives you insights and recommendations, which is kind of neat to see. It gives you, what's going on, what's working, what you may want to take a look at. And then it talks about frequently viewed data. And then it gives you an overview of recently information that you had looked at on your GA4. So, and then the next one is the report snapshot, which gives you an overview for a certain time period. Again, we'll cover that. And then real time, which is obviously what's happening right now, what's going on, which is, I think I have a funny thing for, yeah. So this is real time on maybe some people's, where we're waiting for data to come through, as in what's going on right now. You want to see people on your website right now, see what's happening. But it's, you know what, it's kind of an interesting thing. And again, we'll look at it, but real time could be, if you have a huge event that you're doing, or not a huge event, but if there's something going on that you're advertising for, or, you have a certain time of year, it's interesting to see what's going on and how people are interacting with your site. But again, we'll get into that. So now we're going to talk about, so basically we go down to, as you see on the left-hand side here, I believe it's on your left, the life cycle of what's going on with Google Analytics. So basically this is, it breaks it down, life cycle to retention. So this is basically the stages that your customers are going through while they're on your app or website. The first one is acquisition, and acquisition is basically how people are finding your website. And then it's broken down into 3 categories: your overview, your user acquisition, and traffic acquisition. So as I mentioned already, how they're finding your website. So user acquisition is, your direct. So organic, let's talk about that. People are putting in your website information in Google search. That's your organic. And then direct, they're going right to your website. And then paid would be your Google ads, display, obviously display ads, and then referral coming from someone else's website or from someone else's, I believe it could be, from someone else's website. And then you can also do email, which is coming from, if you have an email campaign, you're doing someone who's clicked on from their email. And then traffic acquisition is what led the new users and returning ones to your website. They're kind of similar. So Ben and I were talking about it. We were like, really, what's the difference? But again, we'll take a look at that when we get into the demo. So engagement, I find that this is like the most exciting part of GA4. This is where what's going on? What are they doing in your website? What, we want to know what's going on. So that's exactly what we're doing. So we're going through, again, there's an overview, basically gives you the outline of what's going on in there per like each category. So events, user actions on your website, conversions. Conversions are basically, obviously, they've completed something that you wanted them to do. This is something that you would have to set up through GA4. So say the simplest thing is you have a business, you're selling things online, and you want to see if they purchase. That's a conversion, basically telling you that they've done that. And it's, again, we'll get into it on the demo site. Pages and screens, what pages are people engaging with, and then landing pages, first page people landed on your website.
Can I add?
Oh, sorry.
Something?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I mean, as you said, like events are a really big part of GA4, and what is making it quite a different experience from a data standpoint. But so when you first set it up, there are I think like default there's some default events. So these are things like page views, session start, scrolling, clicking, things like that. So that's what we want to think of events, like what user or what actions have happened here. And what's really cool is like, along with conversions, so you can add new events. So if the default ones don't cover everything that you want or that apply to your business, you can add new ones. And there's a whole bunch of ones that are options that you can add in. So for example, like I wanted to know when someone watches a video on my website. So I set that up as an event. Essentially what you do is, like, if you're looking to get leads through a form, you set up first the, filling out a form as an event, and then you can just say, make that a conversion. So then you've now created a conversion that Google understands, like, basically this is our goal. We want to get people to fill out this form, and that's our end goal. And so that's really cool, because that will just really play into how we want to look at the data, and what is most important as we sort of start to analyze it.
Mm. So the next one is the next section is monetization. And this is where your e-commerce, in-app purchases, publisher ads, and then retention overview. But these have to be set up as well. They have to be set up, obviously, for tracking e-commerce, what's going on. Yeah, so that would be, again, we'll get into it. Did you, yeah. And then and then retention overview, basically, how well are we retaining them? How well are they staying on our website and app? What's going on there? So we can, as I said, we'll look at that at the demo. And then down below, the users is really where we get into the demographics. So where are these people coming from? What towns, what cities, what countries, if you need to know that, as well as the technical. So where are they coming from? Are they using their phones? Are they using their laptops? Yeah, it's pretty detailed. And then library at the bottom is basically, library just is like if you wanted to make your GA4, set it up the way you want it to set up, the way you want it to look, basically. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add to that, Ben? No?
No, I think we'll try not to overwhelm people too much.
Okay. All right. So next going down is the exploration reports. And we're not going to get into these very much, but because they are very technical. But again, I'll show it to you on the demo account, based a basic form of what it looks like. And these full reports are kind of cool in the way that you kind of just play with it, and you can it's a drag and drop kind of idea, and they're almost like it's almost like looking at an Excel sheet, the way you look at it. So, but as I said, we'll get into that. So. Yeah, so this is basically what it looks like when you open up.
Before we get into the explorations, Scott had a question about demographics. Is that based on where they're using their device at the moment, or something else?
I would assume it's where they're using it at the moment. I would assume so. Yeah, because you're using, so. Well, you're using it, you're basing it, your information on the time that you put in there. So like for the week before or whatever. But it's a good question. I can look into it, find out.
Oh, I mean, that makes the most sense to me.
I would assume, because people are using, they're going on your website on their phone, say, and they're doing it right at that moment. So yeah. So yeah, so for the explorations and reports, these are just the ones that they have. Again, we'll get into it so you can take a look at it. Blank, you create your own report. The free form, let's go back and I'll show you. So the next one is the free form report, which is visualization, data, tables, and graphs. The funnel exploration, visualize steps using towards a key task or conversion. Path exploration, how people progress from one stage of the customer journey to the next. Segment overlap, compares up to 3 segments together and how they relate to each other. Cohort exploration, which is gain insights from the behavior of similar groups. and then the user lifetime, entire lifetime of users. So again, we'll get into it, and then you can, it's easier, sorry, go back. So it's easier to see it live than to go through it on slides. So we also have the advertising tab, which is, you know what, I'm just going to go right into it, and then we can just take a look at it.
You know, while you're doing that, Amy, I think one thing I wanted to mention was, if any of this sounds overwhelming, don't worry. Honestly, it's a steep learning curve. Even for us, it has been quite a change. So not only like layout, where to find things, but also this method of creating your own reports. It is a steep learning curve. So yeah, so just basically connect with your digital service squad. If you are struggling, we are here to help.
Yeah, and absolutely. And also remember, like, this is, yeah, as Ben already said, like, we've been looking at this for a really long time. We've been preparing for GA4. And so just take a look, and as much as I can say, enjoy it, like, get in there and look around and see what's going on. So, because it's very cool to see how things are going, obviously on your website, and to know what's going on. So you can make decisions on to where to advertise, or where to, where people are coming from. All right, so we're on to the live. This is a GA4 Google merchandise demo account. And basically this is, if you look at anything that you can buy for Google, with like a t-shirt that has Google on it, or cups and pens. And so this is basically what they set up for people to help, look at. So, and anybody can use this account. Anybody can go on this demo account for Google merchandise, and anyone can use analytics. If you need help and you want to learn on your own as well and take a look at things, Google offers Google Analytics a certificate. So you can get this information and you can see this, and they walk you through everything. We're here for you, but I'm just letting you know that Google does offer a certification for this GA4. So let's get into it. It's enough talking. So obviously this is the homepage, and we're going to go right into reports. Reports? Oh, it's loading. All right. So reports snapshot basically is just giving us an overview. I just want to start here, and then, do you want me to start here, Ben, or do you want me to go just get right into the events? Doesn't matter.
No, I think here is good. Here's good.
Okay. All right, so let's take a look at here. So the first thing you need to know when you're looking at report snapshot is basically this is everything going on. So if you look at the top here on the right-hand side, it says the dates. So you're going to start here, and you can click down and you can look at anything, let's say the last 30 days. So it will take you for the last 30 days from before. So that should be around the 14th, I believe. And so you can do this. You can also do, I'm going to show you also, you can also click on this to compare, and this will compare dates. So say now that we have GA4, it's not going to compare, if you're just setting it up, then it's not going to do last year's data, but you could do month to month. So say you wanted to, next month, you want to look at what happened last month, you can do that here and hit compare, and then set up 2 separate dates. Okay. So I'm going to pick the last 30 days, apply. How are we doing on time? Okay, good. So basically this is what it's showing me. This section here is telling me how many users were on in the last 30 days, new users, and then their time of engagement. So how long were they online with us on our website? And then the total revenue. And again, Google merchandise is going to have this set up because obviously they have everything set up. So you can see, how it works. So this is your users in the last 30 minutes, and it breaks it down by country. And then we've got our insights, which I mentioned to you, which kind of tells you exactly, breaks down. And you can click on these to see what exactly, what insights they're telling you to do. So as we scroll down, again, this is giving us a basic information of everything on your GA4. So where people are coming from, their sessions. Sorry, 1 second. Again, the country and the trends that are happening, and then retaining users, what pages they're coming on, and what top events. So it's pretty neat the way how detailed it can be as to what's going on your website. If you wanted to do a comparison as to comparison on the chart here, you can do that by selecting different dimensions. Depends on what you want to do. Let me see if I can find one here. I was hoping it was going to, oh, that's just do age. I don't see what it, oh, here we go. Okay, it's just loading. So basically it's telling me, it gives you 2 different lines. If you want to do any kind of comparison, you can be more detailed. I just picked something that was super simple just to show you how it works. So, and when you're in here, you can do as many comparisons as you want to month, and then you can just click off it to get rid of that. So next we're going to go to real time. And real time.
Amy, real quick. Yeah, real quick. One thing that tripped me up for a long time, or I didn't even notice. If you go back to the report snapshot, or actually let this load. So where you see users by,
sorry,
that's okay.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so bottom right, where we see what are your top campaigns, and we see sessions and by session medium. Well, okay, so a couple things about this is like, this is where we can see like what is driving a lot of our traffic in terms of different campaigns that we're running. But one thing I didn't know for a long time is that you can click on those on the down arrow where it says like by session medium, right?
Yeah.
And you can change that. So session source medium, session platform, session campaign. So it just, there are variables and different options there that will look at that will give you different sort of data points.
Yeah.
And you can burrow down if you go view traffic acquisition, that bottom link, you can sort of burrow down further into that chart, right? And then get more data on it, more sort of more granular information about that specific chart, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you can change it as well. Yeah,
right.
Specify exactly what you want to look at. Yeah. Yeah, so the next one, we're going to just, so the next one is real time. And obviously this is what's going on right now. And again, this is Google merchandise, which is worldwide. So this is why you're seeing all this. It may be more specific, obviously, in our area. If you're using it for your area, that's more what you're going to see. You're not going to see a worldwide, but it gives you an idea of what you're looking at. Now we're going to go down to life cycle, and we're going to look at acquisition. Let's look at the overview. I think how are we doing on time? We're doing okay. Anybody have questions? Perfect. Okay. So as you'll notice in every screen as we go through, you can do everything. You can do the add comparison here. You always check your dates, because I'm not sure why it does it, but sometimes it glitches and it goes back and forth even when you're clicking in between these categories. So you'll be looking at something and you'll think, oh, I thought it said something. Anyway, check your dates. Always check your dates, because it could change. So acquisition is basically, as I said, was how people are getting to your site. So we'll just, obviously here's your graph. Let's look at user acquisition here. Acquisition. Right. So basically this is breaking it down as to, as Ben has already mentioned, about how people are getting to your website. And you can, look at the different users, how long they're engaged on your website, the average time, the event count. And then I believe that they also have, for this account, that they have the revenue. So as Ben mentioned, you can bring it down and look at source and medium. So yeah, so it breaks it down into, direct, they're coming through. This is saying cost per click, CPC, they're coming through, and then this is your details. So this is, and these are different, obviously Google, and then Badoo is a website, I believe it's, or a provider from, I believe China, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody verify that? Anyway, so we'll we'll move on here. Anything else I need to mention? Just take a look at that. Basically, it's where people are how they're getting to your website.
Oh, if you scroll across that chart, let's just show them. So the conversions, right? So when you set that up, that's really what we want to get to, right? Like we can see that, okay, direct traffic, there were 166,000 conversions, and they've assigned a value. And so with Google Analytics, so it's not always like that specific. Like oftentimes we use just averages. So this isn't, you wouldn't use this for accounting. It's going to be just a very general estimation, but it will give you a good idea of like what kind of revenue each of these sources is driving. And so like email, for example, they were 11,500 conversions, and that result, or that equaled $5,500. So it's pretty cool.
Exactly. So I also wanted to show you exactly where you would find that, how to set up your GA4. I should have done that in the beginning, sorry. So down here in admin, click on your admin. Now you're not going to see it here just because they've already set it up, obviously, but under your property here, you have property and account. You're going to say property. This is the name of your account. Make sure you have the right one. And then right under here, it's going to say GA4 setup. And so that is where you would go to do that. Okay. And the other thing that we will mention, but I'm not going to get into it because it gets to be too much sometimes. But if you wanted to set up conversions, again, you can do that in this events tab here, which is also underneath your property. If you feel like you want to take a look at it, that's where you would do it at as well.
Actually, if you want to click on the setup assistant, I did want to mention that here's something that a Google tech sort of walked me through once when we were first getting started with this. But essentially, so there are some sort of checkpoints here, a bit of a checklist, I guess, to finalizing that setup. You'll want to sort of go through each of these. So the turn on Google signals, the conversions. So someone asked early on, like, does the data come across from user analytics? The answer was no, but if you have set up conversions, conversion actions and audiences on your universal analytics, you can import those from your old analytics. So that's one good thing that can come across, and could potentially save you a little bit of time if you've set that up previously. Oh, and then definitely link it. If you have a Google Ads account, you want to link it to that. So that's where they're getting all that data from specific campaigns. You'll be able to see, if you're running an ad campaign and using specific keywords, it'll show you exactly what keywords are performing, and how those users that come through on those keywords are interacting on your website. So that is something I highly recommend doing as well.
For sure. Anything else you wanted me to touch on in the admin section?
I think that is it.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we can definitely get into it with a consult if you wanted to look at, how to set up those conversions. It's definitely something we can do. It's not an easy process, but it's once you do it a couple of times, it gets a little bit easier. So yeah. All right, let's get into engagement because we're running a little bit. Well, we're doing all right. So yeah, so let's go into overview for engagement. And again, this is what's going on inside your website. What are they doing when they're there? We want to know what's going on. Where are these people? What are their interests, or what are they clicking on that makes it so interesting? So yeah, so when Ben was talking about, he mentioned about events, as we mentioned already, conversions. So conversions, it needs to be set up. So I will touch on that, but basically you can see everything here. And the breakdown of what's happening in here. So again, just an overview. So these are the events that are going on. And this is what Ben mentioned to you about setting up your events and setting up your certain pages that you want to see what's going on. So you would do that when you set up your GA4. So let's go, just click on this again. So it shows you exactly what's going on, the event count, total users. So this was a promotion that was running, which is great because you can find out what kind of, how it worked, and you can do comparables, right? You could do set up your own chart to find out what happened, how it worked, and then how a different promotion worked, and do some comparables. So yeah, and then this drills even more further down into who came to your website, male, female, where their location is, where it came from, the sessions. And again, you can add a comparison if you wanted to, which is really cool. Drill into that. Just as I said, just take a look at everything. So page and screens, as we mentioned, what's going on, where are they at, how many views, users, engagement, again, conversions. And it's very specific, right? Shopping cart, who is on the homepage, how many on the homepage. You can see the breakdown. The not set is basically, they don't have it, they don't know where people are coming from, or where it's not specifically set. And there can be a large number of those as well. That happens. So yeah, so you'd have this broken down specifically to your website. And then again, the landing page where people are ending up, or they're landing, I should say. And again, it's not set. So that's the majority of people. It just is not giving us the information where they're coming from, which happens. But then you can break it down. Here's the stationary apparel where they're going to specifically, which is really important information. And again, how long they're staying on there, which is really neat. The one thing they took away from Universal Analytics was the bounce rate, which is, I guess they didn't want to track information that wasn't important. Bounce rates basically gives you a percentage of how many people are leaving your site, and are they doing it you can find out if they're doing it on a specific page. So that is no longer the case, and they took that away. But you can see on here sessions as to how long people are staying on those pages. And then of course conversions and the total revenue. So this is quite an incredible example when it comes to merchandise, on how many people they're selling, how many people are on their website. So
there's a question here about you mentioned that we can set up watching a video as a conversion. What are some of the other conversions we should be tracking? So I guess this goes back to when you're setting up those events initially, what events should you really keep an eye out for or have a focus on? I won't hijack this, but what I'll say is it really depends on the nature of your business and what is the definition of success for your specific website and the goals that your website is intended to achieve. So like if you are a retail business, then a conversion would absolutely be, who is following the links that you're, like the promotional links that you're setting up, who is landing on your like seasonal landing pages or whatnot, who is checking out your new arrivals page, that sort of stuff. But if you're a service-based business, it could be, who's interacting with your contact form, right? Who's asking for more information. So anyway, that's what I'll say about it. But I see that Ben would like to answer this question live.
Yes, thank you. Well, no, I just, yeah, that's just a function of Zoom, but Well, what we can do, yeah. So I think you're looking at some of their conversions that Google has set up, and I think you kind of nailed it there, Rochelle. Like essentially, just it depends on your business, but yeah, like things could be like filling out a form, making a purchase. Like if you're in an e-commerce business, really like there's probably only the one conversion that you need to set up, and then you're done, which is kind of nice, right? Like if you only track just those completed a sale conversions, you don't really need much else. I mean, you can get more granular, you can kind of dig into that data a lot more, but is it necessary? Is it going to just give you too much data? Possibly. So that's where I like to just suggest, like, focus on what is most important, and then you can always layer things on if you're looking for more data, more information.
And I think that's a keynote right there too, is the fact that once you started on something, you're gonna make those events, create those events. But then as time goes on, you may think, well, I need to change it up. Like, this is not really what I wanted, what I need to see. So change it up, like get comfortable with GA4 and then see what's going to work for you best, and formulate, right. Just keep doing different things and keep seeing what's going to work and what's not going to work for your business. Okay, moving along. We'll just, I'm not going to get into monetization. Basically is, again, something that needs to be set up. So you need to set up for your, e-commerce purchases. But it's pretty cool. Like, this is pretty cool what you can see. Like, obviously right here on this page, I'll open it up. Once you have it set up, your e-commerce, you can see, like, look how detailed this is. And this is the coolest, because it's like, you see what can be selling, how much is being sold, what happened to these items. And my point is that you can say you wanted to do a promotion, and then you want to see what the results are. Like, this is a great place to have that. You sold, you're not selling your water bottles, you got too much in stock, let's see what's going to happen, let's put them on sale, put your promotions. So it's pretty neat thing to have set up. So we can help you with that as well, setting up those e-commerce purchases. In-app purchases, obviously, if you have an app, that's something that's there. Publisher ads, I didn't really touch on these, so let's take a look. Anyway, you know what, we're running out of time, so let's not worry about publisher ads. And then overview, which is basically your retention. Are you keeping them? How is it? How are they? What's going on with people over time? Are they staying? Are they coming back? This is where you would see that. So let's talk about users. Let's go into demographics. Demographics overview. Obviously, this is where your people are coming from. And you can drill down into country, and you can drill down into obviously city or place. And again, it's going to tell you, who it is that's coming to your website, and what their interests are, which is really interesting interests. Because it's, telling you what they're also interested in. What are they putting on Google? So when they go into Google and they put in what they're looking for, what is it that they're looking for? So this can be helpful for you too, if you're trying to maybe do an ad campaign and you want to specifically target certain people. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could do it as like a, do a cross promotion, say with a different, with a store that does these, say, media or entertainment. Does that make sense, that what I'm trying to say is coming? Okay. And then obviously tech. So this is your tech overview, which we had mentioned. It's going to take a minute to load. So yeah, so basically this is where people are coming from. This is saying that there is no app, so it's 100% coming from web. And then what are they doing in the past 30 minutes? Whether they're coming from, the Mac, and going down here, whether they're using a tablet. It even goes right down to the fact of how big the screen is that they're using. Like, it's just crazy. So it can be very detailed, and may be important for your business to find out. It's interesting to know how this is totally like how your website's loading onto your to the phone. Make sure it's working correctly and it's loading and people can see all the information, because you may see that most people are coming from their using their phones, which the majority of people do. So that's something to look at. So quickly, do I have time to go over to look at explorations really quickly? Yes. Okay.
Over which, sorry?
Exploration reports.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we got like you've got a minute if we want to just.
Okay. We're just going to do this. This is, if you're not overwhelmed, I apologize, because this is going to be. So this is exploration, but have fun with this. Honestly, it's a very cool. They're very cool reports, and you can. I know once you get used to them, it'll be great for your business. So I'm going to click on, so you can see. So basically, what you do is if you click on any of these reports and you customize them the way you want them to be, then they stay down here, so you can access them over time. So if you wanted to look at the report and then maybe make some changes to it, or you wanted to see what you did in the past. That's it. It all stays here. As you can see, I've already done some things with this demo report. So I'm just going to click on a free form, which is one of the ones that I did not do anything to this. So this is just me looking at it. I just wanted to show you quickly what it looks like and what you can do. But again, just have fun with these reports and yeah. So this is basically, you would come up here. These are your variables, your tab settings. You put in the name of your report, what you want to look at. This is obviously, you can customize to the dates. These segments stay the same. I'm not going to get into that. Sorry. And then your dimensions and metrics. This is basically where you would add some dimensions to your report and customize it. So as you can see here, it's categorized by colors. So this is the green, and then here's your rows, the green here, and then your metrics and your values. So I know it's complicated. So these are basically, this is just something that's telling me where people are coming from across the top, and where they went and what they were doing on our website. Again, I know this is overwhelming, and I'm not giving too much details about it, but we may have to do a GA4 part 2 because this is these reports are a whole other webinar, because they're very complicated. But
well, yeah, I would say, basically you drag and drop. So each of those
or you can double click.
segments, dimensions, metrics, and values, you can just drag over to the other side, drop them in there, and see what it does to the data.
Yeah. So I mean, country, I'm just going to drag it over. I'm going to put it under rows, and it's going to populate in here as to what I asked it to do. So there's still the same information, but it's saying what the country is.
Yeah, it's breaking down that same data, except now it's dividing it out by country, which is pretty cool.
Anyway, that's me touching on. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I think, yeah, leave it there. I think, really all you need to know, is like, it is fairly intuitive, like in terms of the drag and drop. You can pull things around. You can add other values into those, those set sort of boxes that you have there. You hit the plus symbol and you can select new ones that you can add to that list. So just, I would say explore it and see what data you can come up with. But I think for the most part, like a lot of that information you can get from the different reports that Amy walked us through at the beginning. So it might be a while before you feel the need or the the desire to go in there and start exploring.
Just reach out to us, please, because we are, it's funny, I did this webinar, I created this webinar thinking, oh yeah, we just go through the steps. And as I going through them, I'm like, wow, this is really, it's a lot of information. So I do apologize, but if you need help with anything, we can definitely help you with that. to find out what's most, we can go through maybe what's most important for your business and help you with that. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, we've got a couple minutes left. Are there any final questions? Please feel free to drop them in the Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully you found this helpful. And as we've said many times, do not hesitate to reach out to the Digital Service Squad.
Yeah, for sure.
And
is there another question there?
Oh yeah, sorry. So someone says, I have a website and a CRM. Do I add GA4 to both from the same property? My guess is you wouldn't need necessarily like an analytics property for your CRM. You should just need it for your website to understand how people are interacting with it. Right. Someone having trouble with Google Ads on the computer. Yeah. So you just go to like you need to set up a Google Ads account. So it's a different platform, ads.google.com. And yeah, create an account there and you should be good to go. As long as you have a Gmail account, then that should be no problem. And right, so Andrew's specifying the CRM that she was talking about has an opt-in form. Yeah, I mean, that might be a special case. I don't know, like might have to look at that in more detail. That might be a good reason for a consult to reach out
I agree.
and see.
Would something like Tag Manager help in that case?
It could. It just depends on. We'd have to take a look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because so if the CRM form is like embedded in your website, then Google Analytics will already be sort of looking at that and providing you data on it. When it comes to forms, what we always recommend is when someone finishes, like submits their form, the best thing to do is redirect them to a thank you page. So it's a unique page that, the only way to get to it is by clicking that submit button and being redirected to it. So that way, it's a really easy way to set up a conversion where essentially anyone who lands on that page, we know they've submitted that form and we know that like that's a conversion. So that's just one thing to keep in mind when it comes to forms and your conversions. Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. As we said, definitely don't hesitate to reach out for a consult for more help and assistance with your Google Analytics or your Google Ads, your website. We can do digital audits. We can do a whole lot of things for you as your digital service squad. So we appreciate you joining us and spending your time with us this morning, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.